Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes a whole stack of sources, digs through them, and pulls out the key insights for you, fast.
Get you up to speed.
Exactly. And today, oh boy, we're jumping into a big one.
Human AI creative collaboration.
Mm-hmm. It's everywhere.
Right. You hear all the takes. It's the end of art as we know it. Or, no, it's this amazing tool that lets anyone create.
The classic binary, threat versus tool.
Yeah, and look, we want to get beyond that today. We're looking at AI not just as, a hammer or a paintbrush, but as a collaborator, a complex one.
And an evolving one, definitely.
So this deep dive, using the stuff you sent us, is all about figuring out how AI is actually changing creative work, the workflows, the business side, maybe even what creativity means. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right. So to really get it, we kind of have to start with the tech itself.
All right.
Generative AI. It's different from, say, the AI that just classifies things or predicts trends.
Well, generative AI actually makes new stuff, like completely new text, images, music, code. It learns patterns from massive amounts of data and then uses those patterns to generate something original.
Original-ish.
Well, that's part of the debate. But the point is, it generates, it doesn't just analyze. And that ability to create novel content, that's what makes it feel like a co-creator, not just, a calculator.
Okay, that makes sense. But how? How does a machine just make something new? It still feels a bit like pulling a rabbit out of a hat.
It does, doesn't it? But it's not magic. It's algorithms, really sophisticated ones. And there are a few key types, and knowing them helps understand how you collaborate. First up, you've got GANs, generative adversarial networks.
Right, heard of those from like 2014.
Exactly. Think of it like two AIs in a sort of duel. One's the generator, it makes an image or whatever. The other's the discriminator. It tries to tell if it's real or AI made.
So like an artist and a really tough critic.
Precisely. And that constant back and forth pushes the generator to get incredibly good. That's why GANs were amazing for photorealistic images or that weird dream-like Google Deep Dream stuff.
Okay.
The collaboration vibe there, it's all about discovery. You guide it a bit, but you're often surprised by what pops out. Serendipity, think art breeder, maybe.
Got it. What else?
Then you have VAEs, variational autoencoders. These work a bit differently. They compress data down into this latent space. Imagine a map of ideas, all compressed and organized.
It's a map of ideas.
Sort of, yeah. And by moving around in that map, the AI can generate diverse outputs. It's less about a duel, more about exploring the AI's interpretation of concepts. Runway ML uses things like this. Collaborating here is more like navigating the model's unique perspective.
Okay, different feel.
Totally. Then, the game changer transformers, introduced around 2017. This architecture is the engine behind most of the large language models, or LLMs you hear about now. GPT, Gemini, Claude, all that.
The ones writing text and code.
Yeah.
They're brilliant at sequential data. So writing, dialogue, summarizing, coding. The collaboration here feels more like, well, dialogue. Drafting, refining, asking it to try again.
But they make mistakes, right? The hallucination thing.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial limitation.
Yeah,
They can
okay.
generate stuff that sounds plausible, even authoritative, but is just plain wrong. Factually incorrect. So human verification. Non-negotiable for anything important.
Good to know. Essential, even.
Definitely. And finally, the current stars for images. Diffusion models. DALL-E 3, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. They dominate high-quality image generation now.
How do they work?
It's pretty cool, actually. They start with pure random noise, like TV static. Then, guided by your text prompt, they gradually denoise it, step by step, until the image emerges.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the key thing here is control. Because it's guided so closely by the prompt, you get a really high degree of adherence. This leads to collaboration that's very directed. It's all about prompt engineering.
That term again. It's central. Your skill becomes crafting the perfect prompt to get exactly what you envision. Very useful for commercial art, graphic design, where you need specific results.
So the tech you choose really shapes how you work with the AI. Discovery with GANs, navigating interpretations with VAEs, dialogue with LLMs, precise direction with diffusion.
You got it. The tool defines the interaction.
But still,
Yeah.
all this output, these images, texts, where's the actual spark coming from? Is it just remixing or is there something more?
That's the million-dollar question, and it ties back to the data. All these models, every single one, are trained on absolutely massive data sets. And what's in those data sets?
Human stuff.
Exactly. Human-created content. Millions of images, texts, songs, websites, scraped from the internet mostly. The AI learns the patterns, the styles, the structures from us.
So its creativity is really just incredibly sophisticated pattern matching and recombination.
That's a good way to put it. Recombination and transformation of learned patterns, which of course leads directly into the big questions about originality, bias in the data, and crucially, copyright. We'll definitely circle back to those.
Okay, fundamental understanding check. Now let's get practical. How is this stuff actually showing up in different creative fields? You mentioned it's accelerating things, letting humans be more strategic.
Absolutely. It's less about replacing people and more about augmenting their process, especially in those early, messy stages. Idea generation, iteration. AI is like a tireless brainstorming partner. It frees up the human to be the curator, the editor, the one with the overall vision.
Let's take the visual arcs first. How does an artist or designer actually use this day to day? You called AI an always-on collaborative partner.
Yeah, think about the workflow. First, ideation and concepting. Stuck for an idea. Tools like Midjourney or DALL-E 3. You type in a few words, maybe describing a mood, a style, an object, and boom, you get dozens of visual starting points in minutes.
Stuff that might have taken days to sketch out before.
Easily. Days, sometimes weeks, just to explore possibilities. Then there's rapid prototyping. Say you're a designer pitching concepts to a client. Instead of 1 or 2 polished mock-ups, you can generate hundreds of realistic variations in a few hours.
Faster feedback cycles, fewer big revisions later.
Exactly. Huge efficiency gain. And then there's the really integrated stuff, augmentation and refinement. Think Adobe Firefly inside Photoshop. You select an area of your own photo or design, type "add a futuristic cityscape," and it generates options right there, matching the style and lighting.
Wow, okay. That feels like true co-creation. You start it, the AI builds on it.
Right, like an intelligent assistant seamlessly woven into the tools you already use. And we're also seeing more specialized tools pop up, like Recraft, which is aimed at graphic designers. It focuses on things like maintaining brand consistency across generated images, making mock-ups. It shows AI isn't just a toy anymore, it's becoming a serious professional tool.
It really does sound like it frees up headspace from the tedious parts to focus on the bigger creative decisions.
That's the core idea, elevating the human role.
Okay, so visuals are transformed. What about sound? Music creation?
Similar story, different instruments, you could say. AI is impacting music across the board. For inspiration and composition, it's tackling that blank page problem.
The bane of every musician's existence.
Totally. AI tools can generate melody ideas, chord progressions, drum patterns based on genre or mood inputs. And some platforms like Suno or Udio are going even further. You give them the text prompt.
Like with the image generator.
Yeah. Describe a song, lyrics, style, and they can generate a full song. Vocals, instruments, the whole shebang. It's kind of mind-blowing, and it really lowers the barrier for people who have musical ideas but maybe not the technical skills.
Democratizing, like you said earlier.
Definitely. Then in production and automation, AI is taking over repetitive tasks. Landiar does automated mixing and mastering. Lalal.ai can split a finished song back into its individual parts, vocals, drums, bass.
Stem splitting, yeah. Used to be really hard.
Exactly. Now, AI does it pretty well. And think about personalization. AI can create custom loops for producers or even generate adaptive music for video games that changes based on what the player is doing or for live shows reacting to the audience.
That's wild, real-time adaptation.
It is. And maybe the biggest shift is the AI augmented DAW, the digital audio workstation the software musicians use. Companies are building AI features right into the DAW.
Like what?
Apple's Logic Pro has these AI session players that can lay down drum or bass tracks that follow your song. Wavetool actually has a GPT-4 assistant built in. You can ask it in plain English to create a MIDI sequence or add a certain effect.
So the software itself becomes a collaborator.
Precisely. It's moving from a passive tool to an active, intelligent partner in the creation process.
Okay, visuals, music, well, let's hit the written word. LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, Jasper.
Yeah.
These feel like they're having a massive impact on writers.
Oh, undeniably. They're becoming embedded in the writing process everywhere. For ideation, they're great thought starters. Stuck on a plot point. Need character ideas. Different stylistic angles. Ask the AI. It can break through writer's block like nobody's business.
Just generating possibilities.
Loads of them. Then, for drafting and summarization, they can take your bullet points and whip up a first draft. Or summarize dense research material. It automates the heavy lifting, letting the writer focus on refining the argument, the voice, the structure, the human parts.
And editing.
Yeah, editing and feedback Tools like Grammarly and even the LLMs themselves can check grammar, style, flow. It's like having a tireless proofreader for that first pass. And even for literary analysis, you can paste in a complex passage and ask the AI to explain it or explore themes or help build out character profiles.
But this leads to that creativity dilemma you mentioned. Augmentation or homogenization.
Exactly. Here's the rub. While AI can help an individual writer generate more ideas, maybe push them in new directions, there's evidence that the overall output starts to look more similar. Studies comparing human-only stories to AI-assisted stories found the AI-assisted ones tended to converge in style and even content. They became more predictable, maybe. Because the AI is trained on common patterns, it tends to suggest common solutions.
So everyone using the same powerful assistant might lead to a less diverse literary landscape.
It's a real risk, a potential homogenization. Plus, you still have the hallucination problem. The AI might invent sources, misinterpret facts. So the writer's job as critical thinker, fact-checker, the one who ensures accuracy and truthfulness, that becomes even more important, not less.
It puts a huge onus on the human editor then.
Absolutely. And this ties into that idea of model collapse, too. If future AIs are mostly trained on stuff already generated by other AIs,
they could just start recycling the same averaged out ideas, losing touch with real human nuance.
That's the fear, a potential feedback loop of mediocrity, or at least diminishing returns in terms of genuine novelty.
Wow, okay. Let's shift from words on a page to buildings, architecture, and design. You talked about generative design. How does that work?
It's a really interesting structured form of collaboration. Instead of sketching forms directly, the architect or designer defines the goals and constraints. Things like budget, materials allowed, required square footage, energy efficiency targets, structural loads.
So setting the rules of the game.
Exactly. You feed these parameters into the AI, and then the AI goes to work generating thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of potential design solutions that meet those criteria. It explores the possibilities much faster and more broadly than a human team ever could.
And the human role then becomes?
Strategist and curator. The humans analyze the options the AI presents, maybe tweak the constraints, and ultimately select the best solutions based on factors the AI might not grasp, like aesthetics, user experience, or context.
So the benefits are exploring way more options. Automating complex checks.
Yes, both. Enhanced design exploration is huge. Finding optimized layouts or material uses you wouldn't have thought of. Automation of things like checking if different building systems clash. Or optimizing structural performance. It frees architects from grunt work. And interestingly, it can lead to out-of-the-box ideas.
How?
Because AIs don't have our cognitive biases. They might generate highly efficient, maybe even beautiful forms, often organic-looking, that human designers just wouldn't typically arrive at because we tend to stick to familiar shapes and solutions.
Any real-world examples of this in action?
Sure. The Autodesk Technology Center in Toronto is a great case study. They fed the AI parameters based on employee work styles and adjacency needs. The AI generated over 10,000 layout options. The human team then narrowed it down and refined the final choice.
10,000.
Yeah. And think about Zaha Hadid's Hadar Aliyev Cinder. While predating modern generative AI, its incredibly complex flowing form was only possible because of advanced computational design tools, precursors to this kind of AI-driven exploration. And in Japan, Daiwa House Industry uses generative design to optimize floor plans for dense urban housing, balancing regulations, costs, and livability.
So in all these, the pattern is clear. Humans set the goals, AI explores the solutions, humans make the final call.
Precisely. It's a powerful computational partner, but always under human strategic guidance.
Okay, so we've seen the what in different fields. Let's dig into the how. How do we actually describe this partnership? Are there frameworks for understanding this human-AI dance?
Yeah, researchers are trying to map this out. One idea is the human-AI co-creation stage model. It suggests AI really speeds up or even lets you bypass the early preparation and ideation stages we used to think were essential.
Compresses the timeline.
Right. And it introduces a new critical stage later on, collaging and refinement. Because you might get multiple good outputs from the AI, the human skill becomes selecting the best bits and blending them into something cohesive. It's a different way of working.
Interesting. Not just faster, but different steps.
Exactly. Then there's a framework called Chico-AI, which tries to give us vocabulary for how the collaboration happens. Like, are you taking turns with the AI or working in parallel? Are you both doing the same task, or is it divided? Who takes the initiative and when?
So mapping the dynamics.
Yeah, it helps move beyond just saying collaboration to actually characterizing what kind of collaboration it is. Is it planned, spontaneous, divided? And another useful distinction is the HAIC model, human AI collaboration. It stresses that AI is primarily augmenting human skills, not fully automating the creative process. Humans keep control of the strategy, the vision, and delegate the more routine parts.
Which reinforces that human-in-the-loop idea you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely central. Whether it's selecting the AI's output, editing it, giving it further direction, human judgment, oversight, and approval at key points are crucial. It ensures the final product aligns with the creative intent and meets quality standards. The human is the ultimate filter.
It all sounds incredibly positive for getting more done.
Yeah.
But you hinted at this double-edged sword. Productivity is great, but what's the cost? That novelty issue keeps coming up.
Right. Let's look at the data. There was a huge study looked at something like 4 million artworks, 50,000 users, and it found AI adoption boosted creative output by about 25% on average.
Wow, that's significant.
It is, and translates to potentially saving pros around 11 hours a week, automating the tedious stuff like we discussed. Interestingly, that same study found AI-assisted art got favorited 50% more often per view.
So people liked it more, or at least found it appealing.
Seems like it, yeah. Suggests it has aesthetic appeal, but here's where it gets really interesting, that novelty paradox.
Okay, lay it on me.
The research indicates that while the most novel ideas, the real boundary-pushing stuff might actually increase for some creators using AI.
Pushing the envelope further.
Exactly. But at the same time, the average novelty across all the AI-assisted output tends to decline over time. Meaning the bulk of the work starts looking more similar, more homogeneous. You get these spikes of high originality from some users, but the average drifts towards the familiar.
The sameness problem again.
Yes. There is a real risk of collectively ending up with a narrower scope of novel content. Because the AI is trained on what already exists, it's inherently biased towards generating probable, plausible things, not necessarily truly surprising things unless pushed very hard.
And that connects to the model collapse idea, too. If it keeps learning from its own increasingly average output.
That's the concern. It could become this self-reinforcing loop where the AI gets further and further from genuine human creativity and cultural richness, becoming sort of blurry and averaged out. It raises a huge question. Great for individual productivity, maybe, but what about the health of our collective creative ecosystem?
That's a heavy thought. It really pushes into philosophical territory. Can AI feel? Does its art have the same weight? What even is artistic value if a machine can churn it out?
These are the debates raging right now. People talk about aesthetic tells, ways to spot AI art. Early on, it was obvious things like weird hands.
The six-finger pianist.
Exactly. AI struggles with logical consistency sometimes, and it can overuse certain patterns. Human imperfection is often deliberate, part of the style. AI errors feel more random, glitches in the system.
What else? Texture. Feel.
Yeah, often AI art can look a bit too smooth, too polished. Sterile is a word you hear. It can lack that tactile quality, the texture of real paint, the grain of film, the human touch. But the biggest difference, arguably, is intent and emotion.
The ghost in the machine, or lack thereof.
Right. AI doesn't have lived experience, doesn't feel joy or sorrow, doesn't have a cultural background informing its choices. Human art resonates because it comes from that place, intention, emotion, context. AI simulates it, sometimes very convincingly, but it's not the same.
And this spills into the originality debate too, right? Is AI just a super fancy remix machine?
That's one camp. They argue it's fundamentally imitative. It rearranges patterns it learned, but can't truly innovate because it lacks consciousness, personal experience. The other camp argues AI can produce emergent creativity.
Emergent?
Meaning surprising results that weren't explicitly programmed or predictable. The interaction between the complex model and a clever prompt might lead somewhere genuinely new, acting as a catalyst for ideas humans wouldn't have reached alone.
So where do audiences land? Does knowing it's AI change how we value the art?
Fascinating results here. Studies show that if people know a piece is AI-generated, they tend to value it less than an identical piece they believe is human-made.
A bias against the machine.
Seems so. We seem to value the perceived human effort, the struggle, the story behind the creation. Authenticity matters. But, and this is key, in blind tests, where people don't know the origin, that bias often disappears. Sometimes people even prefer the unlabeled AI art.
Whoa. So it's not always about the visual quality itself. It's about our perception of how it was made.
Exactly. It challenges our cultural assumptions about what makes art valuable. Is it the final product or the human process and intention behind it? AI forces us to confront that question head on.
Which brings us squarely into the really thorny practical challenges. Copyright, ownership, ethics. This isn't just philosophical anymore.
Not at all. It's hitting legal systems and creative industries hard. The copyright conundrum is huge. In the US, the Copyright Office has been pretty clear.
What's the verdict?
Basically, no copyright protection for purely AI-generated output. Their reasoning is that copyright protects original works of authorship, and authorship requires a human. If you just type a prompt and hit generate, the AI did the authoring, not you, so no copyright for you.
Ouch. So if I make a cool image with Midjourney, I don't own it.
Not in the copyright sense, according to current U.S. interpretation. If that's all you did, it might fall into the public domain. However, there's nuance. They do allow for potential protection for hybrid works, meaning works where there's substantial and demonstrable creative input from a human beyond just the initial prompt.
Like?
Okay, say you generate a bunch of AI images. Then you creatively select, arrange, and combine them into a unique collage. You could potentially copyright the collage, your creative arrangement, even though the individual images aren't protected.
The selection and arrangement is the human authorship part.
Exactly. Or say you take an AI image and significantly modify it. You paint over it digitally, add your own original elements, integrate it into a larger human-made piece. That modified work, reflecting your creative choices and labor, could be copyrightable. The graphic novel Zarya of the Dawn is the test case everyone points to.
Right. She copyrighted the text and the layout, but not the AI images themselves.
Yeah, precisely. She demonstrated significant human authorship in the writing and the overall composition.
So the implication for creators and businesses is document your process, show your work.
Definitely. If you want IP protection, you need to show a complex, multi-stage process involving significant human creative decisions, curation, modification. It makes that human in the loop not just a good workflow, but potentially a legal necessity. Pure push-button AI output is risky from an IP standpoint.
And underneath all this is the elephant in the room, the training data.
The massive, unresolved ethical and legal issue, the fact that these powerful models were largely trained on millions, maybe billions, of copyrighted images, texts, and artwork scraped from the web, often without permission, credit, or compensation to the original human creators.
That's the source of a lot of lawsuits right now.
Absolutely. It's arguably the foundational ethical challenge of this entire field. How do we reconcile the capabilities of these tools with the rights of the creators whose work inadvertently fueled them? It's far from settled.
Beyond copyright, what other ethical minefields are we navigating here?
Several big ones. First, algorithmic bias. We touched on it, but it's crucial. AIs learn from their data. If that data reflects societal biases, gender stereotypes, racial biases, etc., the AI will reproduce and likely amplify them in its output.
So biased training data leads to biased AI creations.
Unfortunately, yes. It requires real effort in curating diverse data sets and actively trying to debias the models, which is technically challenging.
What else? The impact on artists themselves.
Huge concern, the devaluation of human skill and artist precarity. When AI can generate good enough content quickly and cheaply, does that threaten the livelihoods of illustrators, writers, musicians, especially those starting out? Could it drive down wages?
The fear of being replaced or undercut.
Exactly. And related to that is the fear of erosion of creative quality. If the market gets flooded with tons of cheap, easy-to-make AI content, the so-called sea of slop, does it become harder for high-quality, thoughtful human work to get noticed? Does it devalue creativity itself?
It sounds pretty grim when you put it like that. Is it all just job losses and decline?
Yeah. Well, that's the displacement narrative. But the counter-argument, and the one many experts are leaning towards, is role transformation, not just displacement.
Meaning skills change rather than disappear.
Right. AI automates the routine, repetitive tasks. This frees up human creators to focus on the things AI can't do well. High-level strategy, creative direction, complex problem-solving, emotional nuance, critical judgment, curation.
So new skills become essential. Prompt engineering, like you said, creative direction, knowing how to use the AI effectively.
Precisely. Prompting, curation, taste, strategic thinking, blending AI output with traditional skills, these become the valuable human contributions. Some studies suggest professionals who master this human-AI collaboration can drastically increase their output, potentially tripling what they produce. Their value might actually increase.
So the future belongs to the hybrid creator, the one who knows both the craft and how to wield the AI.
That seems increasingly likely. Not AI alone, but the human who has mastered collaborating with AI. That could be the winning combination.
Okay, let's try to pull this all together. We've gone from the nuts and bolts of Jan's and diffusion models to copyright law and the future of work. What's the big picture takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the clearest thing is that AI isn't just another tool in the box. It's a dynamic partner, fundamentally changing how creation happens.
Leading to those big productivity gains, maybe even more appealing output sometimes.
Right, but with that significant risk of homogeneity, that novelty paradox, if we're not mindful.
And the absolute necessity of keeping the human in the loop for quality, for intent, and even for legal reasons now.
Exactly. Human curation and strategic direction are non-negotiable. Plus, we have these massive legal and ethical questions, copyright bias, labor, that we're only just beginning to grapple with as a society.
So it really feels like we're having to redefine what creativity even means in this new era.
I think we are. The emphasis is shifting. It's less about the raw act of generation. The machine can do that increasingly well. It's becoming more about curation, direction, and synthesis.
Being the conductor, not just playing an instrument.
That's a great analogy. The human provides the vision, the intent, the taste. Those uniquely human qualities, taste, intentionality, emotional depth, lived experience, that AI can't replicate. They become the most valuable differentiators.
Someone called it generative synesthesia, blending human exploration with AI exploitation.
Yeah, that captures it well.
Yeah.
It's about having the vision to explore possibilities and the refined artistic filter to exploit what the AI offers, blending them harmoniously. That's the new skill set.
And looking ahead, this could unlock totally new art forms, right? Things we can't even imagine yet. Hyper-detailed stuff, interactive art.
The potential is definitely there for entirely new genres and experiences that merge human creativity with computational power in unprecedented ways. It's an exciting, if uncertain, frontier.
So wrapping this up,
Yeah.
what does this all mean for you listening right now? It really invites us all to think about how we define creativity, doesn't it? And what we truly value is just the output or the human story and intent behind it. Maybe, here's a final thought. In an age where machines can generate almost anything on demand, perhaps the greatest creative act, the most human act, will be deciding what actually matters, what's worth creating and paying attention to, and why.
Choosing what has meaning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to chew on. We definitely encourage you to keep exploring how this AI revolution is unfolding in your own world, your own interests. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
See you next time.